Rasty McGibbon with the original, you're the OG, Captain Lou, here on 5 Minute Major. We are going to give you a breakdown. We have almost distilled moonshine. We've taken 16 D3 teams and we've boiled it down to 4. And in my line of work, in my day job, when things kind of get a little sketchy over my head, I call a consult, and that's why Captain Lou. So this is the Captain Lou consult. Maybe we should even name it that, eh?
There you go.
The Captain Lou consult with Lou Gamelin, and Lou and I go back a long time. But Lou, I've been a D2 guy for a long time, and no discredit to the one and done, but sometimes it's an awful long way to travel to only get one game, and then wash your jerseys, put them in a bag, and get on the bus back to who knows where. D3 and a lot of the commentary I have. Interesting thing with D3 this year. Field of 16 teams, 4 pools, 25%. 4 of the 16 teams had never ever been to a national tournament, and that is Colby College, Central Maine, St. Vincent, and Sacred Heart. So we really welcome all of those schools here, and I don't think I would not, even being critical, say that there was a poor showing by any of those schools. No. I think that they really played well. I think they were an excellent representation of their school, and so as a guy that goes back a long time with pool play in D2, I love it when new schools make it here, and I also love it when new schools here and and demonstrate some success. But anyway, there can't be 16 winners. There can only be one, and we have been through 3 days of pool play, and Captain Lou's going to boil it down for us.
Well, you're right about the new schools. I'm going to use Central Maine Community College as an example. This is their first time in. They made road trips out into the Michigan area back in December. They took on Calvin, Michigan State. They beat both of them schools in the regular season, and they hung with Grand Valley. Grand Valley was ranked for a lot of the time as the #1 team in the country in Division III. So, it was a great showing for all of them. And Central Maine made things real interesting for their pool. Well, unfortunately, they couldn't come out on top. But, in their pool, they made a good showing. So right now we've got 3 of the 4 teams in the semifinals are from Michigan. That's been the dominant conference, the dominant state in Division III for almost 15 years. I think winning 14 out of the last 15 years or 13 out of the last 14. So it's setting up for what could potentially be a Michigan showdown again. Grand Valley won their pool, Rasty. They had to play Florida Gulf Coast, a winner-take-all scenario in that one. Grand Valley, winner a tie. Going into that game yesterday, they hadn't given up a goal.
Wow.
And it was interesting real quick with that one because they came into the tournament kind of on a losing streak. They got beat by Calvin in their conference tournament, and so kind of wondered how that would play out, but obviously they did real well in their pool. Yeah.
So we're setting up on that side, Calvin and Grand Valley, in what we're going to call the Battle of Grand Rapids.
Exactly.
Just we're, what are we, 7 hours away here?
7 hours away.
7 hours away from Grand Rapids, but the Battle of Grand Rapids is going to happen in St. Louis.
It's almost like in 2017 when Aquinas played Calvin for the National Championship down in Columbus. It was, the Battle of Grand Rapids there, and the place was packed. The people traveled. So, I don't know what kind of a showing they're going to get tomorrow night. I'm sure it'll be a good one. Calvin won their pool. On Saturday, they clinched it, and they had to do it against a nemesis, Hope College out of Holland, Michigan, which is about a half hour down the road. Rasty, those 2 schools have such a rivalry in every sport, from basketball to rugby to now men's volleyball and soon football. And so it was electric. It was so loud in that rink on Saturday. Calvin was able to come out with the win, and now they are advancing, as you said, to play Grand Valley in the opening semifinal.
Yeah, and it's I think that's going to be a dandy. The only thing about the other side that makes it is you have Mizzou, and Mizzou. I'm not going to stretch it so far to say it's a home game for them, but it's definitely not 7 hours away. And I will tell you, last night, the sea of gold, or of in the arena last night. I went in to try to catch a bit of the overtime with them in the Air Force. Yeah. And I tell you, it just erupted when they scored an overtime there. Interesting scenario. Mizzou could have won. When we say winner take all, it is winner take all. Whoever wins would win. But if you were to tie in overtime, because we only play a 10-minute overtime, if they would have tied, Mizzou would have advanced. So Air Force had to win. and what's kind of interesting, we've seen historically in pool play, they will get down to the last 2 or 3 minutes, and even though they're tied, they will pull their goaltender because the only way they advance is winning.
You're right.
And not tying.
Well, the interesting scenario with that pool, real quick, we talked about Central Maine. They played Michigan State. If Air Force would have, if Michigan State would have won that game, they tied Central Maine. If they would have won with the score they had and the way it ended up last night, if Air Force would have won that game, Michigan State would have snuck in on the tiebreaker because they all would have beat each other. Yeah. And it was fewest goals allowed as the first tiebreaker. Michigan State would have snuck in, but woulda, coulda, shoulda, they didn't make it. So you see guys getting out their phone and getting the calculators going when you get to day 3 of pool play, and that's why personally I love pool play. I think, but the intensity that you see in D1 and women's D1 with every game is a do or die scenario. You can't mirror that intensity. But I think for teams at D3 that come halfway, Central Maine, I was joking yesterday, if those guys got on the bus this morning, they wouldn't be home till sometime in April. You know what I mean? Right? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So then, and then last night after the D1 games were done, I had a chance to go watch the last pool, which was Lawrence Tech and Arkansas. Lawrence Tech they had winter tie to get in. Arkansas needed it outright. They tied it at 2. They went into overtime. And so in your scenario, Arkansas pulled their goaltender with about 1:20 left. There was a couple of opportunities for him, but there's nothing like that last second anticipation, and you just never know. And that game ended up in a tie. So Lawrence Tech is going to the semifinals again. And I got to tell you, Rasty, they're a very good team, very well coached. All of them are that get here. They are. They are. I think it's wide open in the semifinals for D3.
Do you think, and maybe some would say this is devil's advocate, Calvin coming in as the number 3 in their pool and rolling? And I'm not going to say when I talked to Mike Petrusma, even though he's D1, I'm not going to say he was surprised, but definitely there was a level of joy and elation in him that D3 had been so successful, and I think also that they had clinched on day 2, which is not everybody can clinch on day 2.
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often. I talked to him yesterday afternoon, and at first I told him, I'm sorry you guys in D1 didn't make it, and all the kudos to Adrian. He was not upset about that. His D1 team is coming. They're young. Yeah. But he was like a proud papa.
He was.
For D3.
I agree.
Austin Heisinger used to play for him.
Yes.
And he's the head coach of their D3 team. And watching them throughout the year, I was able, I broadcast their games now for Calvin at the D1 and D3 level. You could see their D3 team getting better as the year went on, a lot more confident. They've got 2 really good goaltenders, and it is so close in that conference. You've got Lawrence Tech, you've got Calvin, you've got Hope, Michigan State, who barely did not, they made it. They almost made it to the semifinals, and some other schools, Oakland and Saginaw Valley. It is so deep that I'm not surprised that they made it as a 3 seed, and they're going to make some noise tomorrow.
Yep, they are. So lots of hockey going on today. Probably one of our slower days. Yeah. Just men's Division 1 that we commented on already, but we are going to be back at it. I think men's Division 2 kicks off tomorrow as well, right?
Yes, it
so
does.
Lots of commentary there. So Lou, thanks for the consult.
You bet. My
this
pleasure.
is Lou Gamelin, longtime friend of the show, and just a great guy with his take on men's Division 3 here at the 2024 National Championship, St. Louis, Missouri.